Obama promised that he would have the most transparent administration ever, and he is already more secretive than Bush and Cheney ever were, even making it a secret who visits the White House.
I can make a firm pledge. If your family earns less than $250,000 a year, if you make less than $250,000 a year, if you are a family making less than $250,000 a year, you will not see your taxes increased a single dime. You will not see your taxes go up. You will not see your taxes increase one single dime. Not your capital gains tax, not your payroll tax, not your income tax, no taxes. Not your income tax, not your payroll tax, not your capital gains taxes, not any of your taxes. Not your payroll tax, not your capital gains tax, not your income tax, no tax. Your taxes will not go up, because the last thing you need is higher taxes when we're in a recession like this, and you won't get one under an Obama administration.
Obama made the centerpiece of his campaign the pledge that taxes would not be raised on anyone making under $125,000 a year. He has since gone back on that promise as well, and has proposed new taxes on payroll, energy, home mortgage deductions, and scores of other taxes.
He made a pledge. He said, I'm not going to raise taxes on anyone making under $250,000. Is that pledge still active?
We are going to let the process work its way through it.
So it's not.
So it's not. So it's not.
We're going to let the process work its way through it. All right?
The Senate is looking especially at this issue of capping the deductions for health care that employers and employees now get. That would be an tax increase for many families earning under $250,000, but the president said he was open to it, so that means that the tax pledge he made back in September is no longer operative?
Obama said he was going to abolish the Patriot Act. He now vigorously defends it. We saw the same type of flip-flop when it came to warrantless wiretapping of the American people.
Look what Obama's done with wiretapping, surveillance. He's brought it to heights even beyond what George Bush, the disgusting levels that he brought it to. So we have more surveillance. Now they're talking about, what is it called, Cybercom, the new Pentagon secret cyber society that's going to be watching over us to get those terrorists. We got to get those terrorists. So now they'll be invading our privacy even more.
So, I mean, it really almost makes you ask the question, would it have been better if we never invented the internet and had to use paper and pencil or whatever?
Now Obama is setting up the Cybersecurity Command, which the government admits completely ends the Fourth Amendment and allows President Obama to shut off the internet in the United States whenever he wishes.
Indeed, in today's world, acts of terror could come not only from a few extremists in suicide vests, but from a few keystrokes on the computer, a weapon of mass disruption. As part of the new single national security staff announced this week, I'm creating a new office here at the White House that will be led by the cybersecurity coordinator.
This new control grid is administered by the Pentagon.
They just want to keep tabs on us. So we're turning into a surveillance, wiretapped government state. The government is taking more and more control over our lives.
I can stand here today as President of the United States and say without exception or equivocation that we do not torture.
Obama made a show of investigating torture, but has ignored the Army's own detailed investigative reports, which name the torturers that the White House memos document were following the directives of Bush and Cheney, the men who are most guilty for issuing the infamous orders.
Some low-level soldiers have been prosecuted for their role at Abu Ghraib, but no senior officer has been held accountable in any of these cases to date. Heidi?
I know that these debates lead directly, in some cases, to a call for fuller accounting, perhaps through an independent commission. Now, I've opposed the creation of such a commission.
Next, Obama expanded Bush's doctrine of indefinite detention of foreigners without trial to holding citizens without evidence indefinitely, without ever even committing a crime.
President Obama today proposed something new, something called prolonged detention.
Pre-crime is where people are arrested and incarcerated to prevent crimes that they have not yet committed.
Barack H. Obama, who ran as an anti-war candidate, has continued the war in Iraq, massively expanded the war in Afghanistan, and unleashed a new conflict in Pakistan. Now Obama is promoting the biggest defense budget in history, dwarfing George Bush's war machine.
What George Bush has been trying to do as part of his effort to accumulate more power in the presidency is he's been saying, well, I can basically change what Congress passed by attaching a letter saying, I don't agree with this part or I don't agree with that part. I'm going to choose to interpret it this way or that way. That's not part of his power. But this is part of the whole theory of George Bush, that he can make laws as he's going along. I disagree with that. I taught the Constitution for 10 years. I believe in the Constitution, and I will obey the Constitution of the United States. We're not going to use signing statements as a way of doing an end run around Congress. All right?
Obama guaranteed that once president, he would stop the unconstitutional practice of issuing signing statements, through which the executive branch illegally usurps the legislative power of Congress.
Congressman Kucinich, when he introduced his 60 articles of impeachment against Bush Jr., I think one was the signing statements.
The form of the resolution is as follows. A resolution, articles of impeachment of George Bush, President of the United States. Resolved, that President George W. Bush be impeached for high crimes and misdemeanors. Article 26, announcing the intent to violate laws with signing statements, and in violation of his constitutional duty under Article 2, Section 3 of the Constitution, to take care that the laws be faithfully executed, has used signing statements to claim the right to violate acts of Congress even before he signs those acts into law.
Same analysis would apply to Obama, and a fortiori because he taught constitutional law. He knows better. He's a lawyer licensed to practice law, who, as I am, who took an oath when he was licensed to uphold the Constitution and laws of the United States of America.
With his signature on the spending bill also came Obama's first signing statement, a presidential declaration freeing him from following some of the bill's contents.
I believe in the Constitution, and I will obey the Constitution of the United States. We're not going to use signing statements as a way of doing an end run around Congress. All right?
He also promised that he would call on Congress to take at least 5 days to read new legislation before it was voted on.
When there's a bill that ends up on my desk as president, you, the public, will have 5 days to look online and find out what's in it before I sign it, so that you know what your government's doing.
But from his first day in power, he has aggressively pressured Congress to quickly pass bills before lawmakers and the public even have a chance to see them.
Will state his parliamentary inquiry.
Speaker, in order to try to figure out what we're doing, how much damage the country, I tried to get a copy of the bill. We have out here on the table 2454 that has 1,090 pages in it, but I've understood since debate in here that there's another 300 pages that were added in the middle of the night. My inquiry is, how do I get a copy of the other 300 pages that people on here or here on the floor hadn't had a chance to read or see? Where do we get that before we cram this down on the American people?
Is there somewhere physically in the House of Representatives a copy of what we're voting on?
The gentleman has not stated a parliamentary inquiry that the chair can answer.
Mr. Speaker, I have to say that I am outraged. Here we are getting ready to vote on a piece of legislation, and we haven't even seen 300 pieces of this legislation. No one can even find the bill or even knows where it's at.
Obama swore that he would never put lobbyists or donors in his administration.
Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner appointed Mark